am lucky. I get to work with these folks all year long.
My little friend, Mary Margaret Whalen.
I have asthma. Who here has asthma? That's really because of all of you.
Okay, if you aren't excited now, wait till we get done, and then you will be. At the very least, I will chase you around, right, until, so thank you for coming. I am pleased to start off today's Ambassador Rally with our chair of the King County Employee Giving Program Committee, which is made up of employees like you from all over the county. Our chair this year is Catherine Festa.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So welcome to the first ever Ambassador Rally. And I'm saying that I can recognize quite a few faces out there, and thank you for being an ambassador and for helping every single one of our 13,000 plus employees, you know, be part of the annual giving drive. The rally is part of your training, and what you do today and take away will help you with your annual giving drive. Today, you'll be inspired. Today, you'll take away more information to help you be successful. And you will see and hear how easy it is to bring in nonprofit speakers into your workplace. This year is a special year. It's our 25th year anniversary. We're pretty proud. I've been part of the campaign for 10 plus years. And I've been a worksite ambassador myself, and I tell you, I enjoy it. I go around there and I hassle everybody, and they all know me as the face of the campaign. And I enjoy it. I really do. It's a great program. It's a wonderful way for employees to give to nonprofits. It's easy. It's tax deductible. And the impact, I believe that any impact the employees can make in the nonprofits. Each of us has a personal connection. I am a breast cancer survivor.
Yes. Right on.
So I give to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation because if it wasn't for organizations like that, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, and think about what inspires you.
Is this loud enough?
Oh yeah.
Just make it up here, you know, you can't tell. Thank you, Catherine. Our committee members are dedicated all year long. I just harass you during this time of year. I harass them all year round, and they're amazing. One of the best practices for ambassadors is to bring in a nonprofit speaker. And you've heard me talk about it if you've gone through training, or you will see it in the online training. And you've all heard me say it a million times. I'm happy to come in and speak. We know that, right? I do a lot of talking. My emails are usually pretty verbose. But I'm going to talk about the program in general. I'm going to talk about the benefits of the overall program. Our nonprofits, they can speak to the direct impact that employees are having with their donations and their time and their energy and their talent to the organizations that participate in our program. And I cannot tell you, how beneficial that is. So today we're leading by example. We've invited a couple of nonprofit speakers to come in, show you what they can do. That way you can then be inspired to bring in nonprofits to your workplace. We have more than 300 local nonprofit organizations on our speaker bureau list. That's pretty amazing.
All right.
And it's in your toolkit, yes. It's in your toolkit with their phone number and their email. You just call them directly and you say, hey, I got 5 minutes for you. So I encourage you to do that. This is obviously just a small sampling of it. But sometimes a speaker can't actually come into your work site. One place that I think of is the jail, right? I can't tell you what I had to go through in order to be able to speak there one year. So a lot of times people can't go into our jail.
Unless they're invited.
But you can often show videos. And we've asked a lot of our nonprofits to share some of their videos with us. And I'm going to show you one today. This is from Community Health Charities of Washington, and one of our Federation partners. And this video will be available in your toolkit as well. And so you can use this if you can't bring in a nonprofit speaker. stuff that can happen in as little as 3 minutes. What we're gonna do next is hear from a speaker from one of the community health charities, member organizations, the American Lung Association, and I promise you, when you leave here today, you will be changed. I have been all year long after hearing her speak last year. Please welcome Eileen Gagney.
Yep. All right, thank you. I can't tell you how valuable your contribution to do this work is. So I work for the American Lung Association, and the reason I do is many, many reasons. I have asthma. Who here has asthma? All right. 1 in 10 adults has children, 1 in 10 children have asthma. It is the leading cause of chronic absenteeism due to it's a leading cause of absenteeism due to a chronic disease. If kids are not in school, going to school, they're not learning, their parents have to stay home, right? I'm going to hand out a lot of handouts to you guys right now. So, first off, and I have a lot of information for you. The best thing that you can do for the health of your home, besides not smoking in it, is what? Anybody?
No carpet.
Dust-free, no carpet. Really good ideas. Take your shoes off at the door. Who takes their shoes off? Yes! All right.
I do now.
That's good. So outside, the reason why we do this is that outside we step in pesticides, insecticides. So back in 1972, DDT was banned. It's a pesticide. It was an amazing pesticide. It did some really great stuff. I have a colleague who actually remembers running behind the trucks in New Jersey that were spraying DDT for mosquito control. Now I'm 55, okay? So this is not that long ago since it's been banned. Okay. I'm also handing out drain cleaning recipes. So the thing about the shoes is this. Outside we step in pesticides and insecticides, and outside they're broken down by the sun and the rain. Inside we're not. And where do we put little babies?
On the floor.
On the floor, on the carpet. Children are not just small adults. They breathe 10 to 20 times more than we do. And a child before the age of 6 has no blood-brain barrier. Anything that they get exposed to goes directly to the developing brain. So, for example, a child will absorb 30 to 50% of the lead that they come in contact with, whereas an adult, 10 to 15%. It's amazing. So you've all seen babies breathe, right? They breathe like this. It's amazing how fast they breathe. Babies are not just small children. They breathe more, they drink more, they eat more. So for per capita, they actually are exposed much more to the dangers of pollution than we are. Now, in terms of asthma or lung disease, so for example, lung disease kills more people than breast cancer, prostate cancer, and colon cancer combined. All of those combined. Now, we all know the leading cause of lung cancer, right? Smoking. Second leading cause is radon. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that comes up from the soil. Here in Seattle, we don't have a whole lot of radon. Spokane does, Vancouver does, Portland does. Every home should be tested for radon. It is a $14 test, and it makes all the difference in the world. It can make all of the difference to your lungs and your children's lungs. Anybody here got some mold? All right.
We live here.
You live in the Northwest, you got mold. So, the thing with mold, it's a symptom of too much moisture. You have to deal with the moisture. So there's a couple of big bad boys in terms of moisture in your home. You get crawl space or basements. If you have a crawl space and or a basement, all that moisture in that crawl space is coming up into the house via the stack effect. So what happens is that the stack effect is this air pressure system that happens in your house. So let's say if you've ever grown up in a house that has a second floor, on the first floor is the kitchen. Your mom starts making coffee, bacon, and all of a sudden that smell wakes you up. That's the stack effect. Everything down low is going to come up high, including all the moisture that's in that in that crawl space, all the poop and pee that the cats have done down there, all of that's coming up into your house, okay? You have to control the moisture in your crawl space. This time of year, we're starting to get rainy weather, right? This is the time of year you have to start cleaning your gutters. Make sure your downspouts are moving the water away from the building. You want to make sure you can, if you have, in your bathrooms, You have to keep the fan on for at least 45 minutes to an hour after you're done bathing. It takes that long to get the moisture off the walls. Really? It takes that long. If you see moisture on the mirror, you've got it on all your walls. You wipe that down on the mirror, right? You don't wipe the walls down. So, in your bathroom, they make timers for your fans, hour timers. That's great. You don't have to think about it. You turn that thing on, you shower, you leave, it's still going, it's still ventilating. Panasonic, and I don't own stock in Panasonic. Okay? Panasonic makes really lovely fans. They're quiet. If they sound like nobody's going to use them, right? You've all heard those fans, right? You turn that thing off. You don't use it. If you see moisture and mold, you got to clean it up. You can squeegee down your bathroom walls. Okay? Actually, one of the best things you can do, actually every day, is open your windows for about 5 minutes twice a day. You're going to flush the stuff out. We bring so many chemicals into the home. We bring colognes, perfumes, plug-in air fresheners. My personal peeve. Okay, plug-in air fresheners. You think there's actually any vanilla in there? Okay? It's all a chemical. And it's usually a petroleum distillate that has been refined. So you might as well have a little thing of diesel in your house. Dryer sheets. Oh, Karen. Dryer sheets. So you all know when you're walking down the street, you can smell them going, right? Yeah. They stink. In Minnesota, if they put them on the floor of their motorhomes, the mice won't come in. They're using it as a pesticide. What are the mice telling you? Whoa. Bad stuff. Okay? So what you can use instead, and what they do is they coat your clothes with this softening agent, and God knows what that is, right? And then they also includes phthalates, and phthalates are known endocrine disruptors. So it does little things like it prevents little boys' testicles from dropping. It brings early onset of puberty to girls. Oh, there's lots of stuff. You gotta read your labels. I handed out this thing on household hazardous products. Read the labels, read the instructions. To get rid of mold, soap and water. Bleach doesn't kill the mold. It bleaches it. It always comes back, right? Because you haven't dealt with the moisture problem. You've got to deal with the moisture problem. Dehumidifiers. If you have condensation around a toilet tank, you have to install, what I did when I changed out my toilet, I put a toilet in, low flow toilet with an insulated tank in. No more condensation. It's 10 mil black plastic over the dirt in your crawl space. Make sure your gutters are clean. I've seen lawns growing out of gutters, right? You've all seen it, right? It's not moving any water. In fact, what it could be doing is making it worse because the water will then back up underneath the shingles and you'll start leaking into your attic from the outside in. If you get mold growing inside walls. If you can smell mold, it's actively growing. And if you live in a moldy home, eventually you will be made sick. I guarantee it. I've been doing this work for so long. I've seen everything from mold on the windows to in the shower. I've seen it black, brown, green, pink. Pink, you always see it in the showers. I think it's the shampoos. I don't know, it's always pink in showers. Okay? But there's three big bad boys. There's Stachybotrys, Penicillium, and Aspergillius. I don't care. You don't need to test for mold. You need to get rid of it. Because I guarantee you'll always find mold, right? Outside we need it. It breaks down the leaves and the grass, and inside we don't. So, scrub it with soap and water. You've got to open your curtains every day. You've got to wipe down the condensation. If you have poor housing stock, so there's no insulation in the walls, you have to move your furniture out from the walls by about 2 inches. Get some ventilation. You can't close everything off, shut the door, and think you're not going to get mold. You will get mold. I guarantee it. Sorry. Anybody have any questions about anything in their home? Change your furnace filters right now, okay? If your furnace is older than 5 years, it should be professionally inspected every year. Your furnace filter, depending on how sensitive you are, and if you do have asthma, it should be changed every 3 months. No ozone generators. There are HEPA air purifiers, which help to clean the air. So the thing with the lungs is this. We can live without some organs. You cannot live without your lungs. In order to breathe, you need your lungs. If anybody here has had pneumonia or bronchitis or asthma, you know what it's like not to be able to breathe. It is the scariest thing you've ever done. If you've ever experienced an asthma attack, you feel like you're suffocating. I just had a bout of pneumonia. I got put on a major dose of prednisone for 5 days. It was awful, but I couldn't breathe. That's some way. Sometimes the only thing you can do. So I'm very careful when I come in contact with. I think about everything in my environment that could be affecting my lungs. Perfumes, colognes. Anybody here bothered by perfumes and colognes? Oh yeah, okay. Colognes, you've got dryer sheets, you've got dust. What do you do first? You vacuum or damp dust? Vacuum first, because the vacuum raises the dust, right? So then you let that dust settle, and then you pick up the dust. So what they're still finding DDT in house dust. It was banned in 1972. Anybody remember why DDT was banned? What's that? Eagles. So what it did, it's amazing pesticide. I'll talk a little bit about this. So it gets into the food chain. The little bugs get it, the bigger bugs eat them, the bigger bugs, the smaller birds, the bigger birds, the raptors. And it made the bald eagle's eggs so soft that when they sat on them, it crushed them. It almost resulted in the extinction of the bald eagles and other raptors, ospreys, hawks, owls. In fact, the condors in California now, if they're coming back with DDT exposure, they're having it was in the paper, or it was on one of my listservs today about they're having problems with DDT because they're eating all the sea lions, all the leftovers when they die. And DDT goes up the food chain. Who else is on the top of the food chain? We are. So, I want you to think about what you breathe, what you eat, but without these lungs, we don't do anything. If you can't breathe, nothing else matters. So, I am also available to speak at any of your places. I have my business cards here. I'm going to put a bunch down the back. If anybody would like them, please help yourself. Anybody has any questions? That would just scare the heck out of you. And there are alternatives for everything. It's not just, okay, open your windows, okay? Instead of dryer sheets, you put white vinegar in the softener part of the wash. You don't have to use any strong chemicals. Soap and water, baking soda and vinegar, that's what these are for. I want to reduce your exposure to things that could affect your lungs, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Aileen. I have to tell you, seriously, last year after hearing her speak, and I was 9 months pregnant, I was like, we gotta do this and that, and we're never to burn our shoes in the house again. It was, yeah, so all year long. So I thought that you guys would enjoy that nice Monday opportunity as well. Karen White, raise your hand, Karen. So this is Karen. Karen is who you will actually book all of your speaking opportunities with for members of community health charities. And as you saw, they represent quite a few of our local health charities. So feel free to tap her up afterwards. We actually have the room for a little while after the program. Also, every year, the annual Giving Drive has, I'm going to switch microphones. This one sounds too loud. Is it too loud? Okay.
Tinny.
Thank you. Well, and I'm loud, right? So I don't make things better. Yeah. So every year, the annual Giving Drive has 2 members of King County leadership that act as our honorary co-chairs to provide inspiring leadership throughout the annual Giving Drive. And in our 25th anniversary year, I feel like we're super lucky this year to have 2 amazing honorary co-chairs. The first is Councilmember Joe McDermott, who's not able to join us today. I did this kind of last minute, and he's the budget chair. But I was so thankful that Caroline Whalen, our county administrative officer, was able to join us. She's amazing, and she brought a little friend with her, which is even, yeah. Leadership support is critical during the annual Giving Drive, and they are the epitome of what leadership looks like. And I have no doubt that this year will be amazing.
Thank you all for that warm welcome. I'm sure my little friend, Mary Margaret Whalen, you can call her Maggie. I have allergies and she doesn't bother me, so I really hope she's not bothering any of you. One thing nice about this breed, I think she's a mutt, but she really has hair instead of fur, and I shampoo her, and she was bathed before coming here today. And you're going to find out why Maggie's with me. Before that, Let me first thank you for being ambassadors. For those of you who are returning, thank you for your past and current efforts to help with our campaign. It not only helps, all the organizations, the 900 organizations that we support in our drive, it also helps us professionally. I read an article yesterday in the jobs section of the Times that said one of the best ways to promote yourself in an organization and to have more opportunities is by volunteering to do things. And I don't know how many of you are just totally comfortable with public speaking. I'm not. It sort of makes me a little nervous. I'm not nervous with you because you're all friendly and I brought my dog. That warms the crowd up, but it's an opportunity to practice your presentation skills, and that really goes a long way to helping you in your career. I've been part of the King County family since 1994, and one of the things that really impressed me is the giving nature of our employees. So when I joined the county, I found out about the Employee Giving Campaign, and it is great. I'm really happy to be a co-chair for the 25th anniversary. I think you've seen some great examples of organizations that we can support. We help people, we help the environment, and we even help our furry friends. Last year, our efforts fed 180 homeless youth in Seattle. We provided 16 families with a one-week stay while their child was being treated at a local hospital. And Maggie wants you to know that you helped more than 120 animals get shots, surgery, grooming, and training that they needed to be adopted. So your generosity is what makes us a great place to work. And so my story about Maggie, the reason Maggie is here with me today, is 2 years ago, our Performance Strategy and Budget Office hosted a high tea to benefit our regional animal services. And Maggie was the hostess for that event. And she had been abandoned. Somebody had left her in an apartment and moved out. And the neighbors found her, brought her to King County Animal Shelter, and I ended up adopting her. So she was pretty straggly, thin. She needed some surgeries. And I can guarantee you that she's a very happy dog now. And she really makes my life a lot richer and healthier. I have to get out and walk because I have her, and she's a great ambassador in my neighborhood. I help with emergency management in my neighborhood, and Maggie helps me map my neighborhood. So, in closing, I'm really excited to be part of the effort this year, and so grateful to you for joining me in this. And Eling, you want to stand up? Eling is really the reason why I have Maggie, because she is the one in our performance strategy and budget who came up with the idea for the high tea. And they did it again last year, and I think they had a red bone hound that I resisted adopting. And I think, Eling, you're going to do it again this year. So that's just one of the many creative ways that we're raising money for great effort. Thank you.
And I have to note that Regional Animal Services has a 100% adopt rate for bringing animals to our events. So I have to say that we're a pretty animal-friendly crowd here. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I remember when Maggie was here that day, I was taking pictures in hopes of you beat me to the punch. She's so gorgeous. So thank you so much. This time of year is pretty neat. It is not only one of the greatest ways we can give back to our communities, but it's also one of the most exciting times in our workforce. And you guys have heard me say this before, we're giving you a legitimate pass to have fun. This is your opportunity, so take full advantage of it. Use your creative juices to make marketing materials, to do special events and fundraisers. And what always comes with that legitimate fun, evidenced as of today? Food, right? Definitely. So today we've invited, on staff here at King County, we have a registered dietitian. Lindsay Heft, did I say that right? Close enough. Close enough. You'll have to tell me. To share some of the ways that we can shake it up and have fun with our food in a healthy way during the annual giving drive.
Thank you for having me today. I have a few slides, mainly pictures here. I'd like to get that queued up. Thank you. So I want to share a story with you this morning to provide a new perspective. In my previous job, I worked at the Coalition of Homeless Shelters and Free Meal Programs in St. Paul, Minnesota. These are organizations that rely on giving of clothes, giving of diapers for children, giving of money, and giving of food to feed people, adults, children who really need it. Our goals as a coalition were to lead by example, to provide healthy meals for kids, to provide support for those who knew that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind and thus a steady job, and to provide fewer amputations, hopefully, as a result of improved control over diabetes from healthy food. If you were to go to one of these meal programs for a meal and be a fly on the wall, you'd see a group of dedicated volunteers preparing a home-cooked meal, and what comes with that is a lovingly prepared dessert. If you'd come back for the next meal, you'd see another group of volunteers preparing a lovely home-cooked meal and another special treat. When we stepped back as a coalition and looked at this bigger picture, did some evaluation, what we found was that in these meal programs, there were only 9 days of the entire month where there wasn't a dessert served, including breakfast. Wow. Here's my cookies, cakes, and pies picture. So we had a huge challenge in front of us. These places rely on donations. We didn't want to offend the volunteers. We didn't want to come across as ungrateful because obviously these were greatly needed donations. But it was obvious that an additional option, a healthy choice, also needed to be provided. And even if it was just alongside these. So I feel like I sort of faced a similar challenge talking with you today. The Giving campaign has been going on for 25 years, and we've accomplished amazing results. And it's because of you and your efforts that this has happened. So herein lies the challenge of offering a new perspective. Bringing this back to you as county employees and this campaign. We exist in the world. We have lives outside of work. We're coming into the season of eating, the season of giving. There's a lot of food around us all the time. So when we look at the larger picture, it's not just the one bake sale, it's our whole lives around us. No doubt, you know people at work, or maybe you yourself have struggled with weight, have been trying to control or prevent diabetes, or try to set a good example for your kids, and it's tough. So I'd like to issue a challenge for you today. You can't read it in the back, it says, but it's so peaceful here. All right, here's my challenge. Why? Kind of what I just covered, right? We want to provide a healthy choice, provide an opportunity for health for those who want it, and be supportive of our coworkers who are trying to do this. What's in it for you? If you accept the challenge, and I'm going to give you some fun ideas in a sec, we'd like to recognize you as a health hero at your thank you event in January. We'd also like to enter all the events that do meet the challenge of even taking one small step towards being having healthy options, enter a random drawing for a 2-year health prize pack. So we'll enter you as the ambassador, and then your entire group that donates to the event will receive a fun prize pack if you're chosen. So I'd like to hand out just a small handout here, some fun examples of things you can do. Like I said, it doesn't need to be big. I think Janelle actually provided a really good example of what you could do today with the lunch. She has some veggie options, smaller portion sizes of soda. It's still there, but it's a smaller size. So I just had a few ideas on here. So for bake sales, you could encourage healthy recipe substitution. Hold a no bake sale where you have goods instead of food items. Hold a fruit sale. Items in smaller portion sizes, kind of like the soda. Have a frozen dinner sale. For meals or lunches, events that have food kind of like this, the goal could be to meet the My Plate guidelines. And I think the easiest one to follow is the half of the plate is fruits and vegetables. Holding a chili cook-off, including an activity, so maybe some jump ropes around the room to get in some activity. Other ideas, plant sale, create an employee recipe book that you could sell, an art sale. I know we have a lot of creative talent around the county. Or maybe even it's making soup mixes in jars and selling those. So I'd like to offer my support to you as a resource. Feel free to call me, email me. My contact information is on the bottom. I'd love to help you brainstorm, come up with some ways to provide that healthy option. So thank you for your time.
Hey, plants. I still have a plant in my cubicle from a garage sale type event that we had a couple of years ago, and somehow, only because the people who come in and help me throughout the year, that thing has not died. I am not a plant person at all. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I'm really excited. You know, every year I make a joke, but it's not really a joke. I usually gain about 8 pounds during the annual giving drive because of all of the special events, fundraisers, and bake sales. And last year, I mean, I had a valid excuse, right? But this year I do not. And so, as part of your challenge, my goal is to lose 8 pounds. If not more, okay? So I'm happy to step up to the plate and put my money where my mouth is, definitely. Our next nonprofit speaker, for the last 10 years, at least last 10 years, that's just the data that I have upstairs, Northwest Harvest has been the #1 organization that King County employees have supported. In both numbers of employees and dollars, like by far. Clearly King County employees care about things, basic needs, local organizations, and having an impact. And a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of touring one of their warehouse down in Kent, and it was amazing. I absolutely encourage you that if you have the opportunity to volunteer there, it will blow your mind. The amount of food distribution that happens at a facility. And so I wanted to share that opportunity with you to see for yourself and hear for yourself about the kind of work that they do as well. Do you want to play the video first?
Actually, I'm just going to do a short
Okay.
PSA in the middle.
All right. Please welcome Dean Christoph with Northwest Harvest.
I'm not used to using microphones, so but I'm usually loud enough. I'll try to use this, but if you want to encourage me to set it down, I will. Well, first of all, I'm a little nervous talking to you today because I'm going to tell you a personal story, and I've only told it twice before. So, wait, I'll say something not sad first. So nonprofits are often encouraged to talk about their accomplishments and what they do so that people feel good about giving. But I'll tell you what, every time you hear a nonprofit throughout this campaign season talk about their accomplishments, that's really because of all of you. I mean, really, we're dependent upon all of you to give throughout the year. It provides stable funding. It enables us to provide amazing services to anyone. So regardless of whether I'm talking about Northwest Harvest or someone else is talking about what they're able to do, those accomplishments are your accomplishments. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing. I know you take out your own personal time, you have work time, so really you're making a big difference. Anytime somebody talks about those accomplishments, you should feel it in your heart. So as I mentioned, I don't really tell this story. I've only told it twice before ever in my life, and I'm going to hit the big 5-0 this December. So I remember waking up one winter morning because it was so cold I couldn't sleep anymore. And I woke up and I was cold and I was hungry, and I was in grade school. And I grew up in Illinois. My father was in the steel industry, and the manufacturing businesses in the 1970s started going downhill, and he was laid off. My mother was a stay-at-home mom not only because she had 3 young children, but also because she had some health problems that prevented her from working. I remember waking up in the morning one time, and it was so cold I couldn't sleep, and I was hungry, and it was not even light out yet. My parents were awake too, and they were whispering to each other, and somehow they found something for me to eat. They had been hiding, as long as they could, how much we were struggling because my father was laid off. And it was sort of the point at which, you know, you couldn't hide it anymore. This is back in the 1970s when you could actually have your electricity turned off if you didn't pay your bill. And this is Illinois in the wintertime, by the way. So all I remember about school that day is that I couldn't think of anything else but my parents and my 2 younger sisters who weren't even awake yet when I went to school. What were they going to eat all day? What were they going to do? And I was a very good student, but I don't remember anything about that day except worrying all day long. I had school lunch paid for, so I was going to get something to eat, but I didn't know what everybody else in my family was going to get. Now, I don't even know if my 2 younger sisters, who are adults now, even know about this because we never talked about it. We were very ashamed of the fact that my parents couldn't provide for us that day, but you know, people get laid off, people have health problems. I don't tell this story for pity. I've grown up, I have 2 degrees, I have a sister who's an attorney, who has kids that are overfed and overeducated and over busy. If you've ever heard of the book, The Overscheduled Child, they must have visited their house. So I don't say this for pity. What I'm saying is that almost anyone can struggle with this. In fact, your neighbors, friends, people that you know, or at least people that your children are going to school with are struggling with this. The USDA last year indicated that 1 in 6 people in Washington state were struggling to put enough food on the table. But that number changes to 1 in 4 when you're talking about children. Not only is that the case, but in Washington state, hunger is growing. It's not getting less. Only 2 other states, we're the 15th hungriest state in the country, but only 2 other states saw a rate of increase in hunger faster than Washington state did. So this is not something that's going away. This is not something that's gotten better even though the economy is getting better. There are a lot of people who are doing everything they can to hold on. They're either running out of their benefits or they're having problems paying their rent or mortgage, and so if they go to the food bank, they can save a little bit of money and make that rent payment, etc. So the first thing that I would ask is that when you think about hunger, it's not necessarily always just the obvious people on the street. It's your neighbors, it's your friends, it's your kids' friends. I have a whole, and I can do this if I come to speak for you, but I thought it might be boring to sit through a whole 5-minute video. So, but when I come to speak, I also have a nice 5-minute video that shows the range of what Northwest Harvest does. But for just a quick one, I thought I'd show you a PSA that's a 30-second PSA that you can watch.
In Washington, 1 out of every 4 of us kids don't get enough to eat. But Northwest Harvest is helping to make sure we're getting the healthy food we need. The money you give helps Northwest Harvest buy food to fuel our bellies. They'll get fruits and veggies from farmers right here in Washington. Volunteers pack that food, and Northwest Harvest truck drivers get it to food banks around the state. Thanks to you and Northwest Harvest, child hunger stops here.
The 5-minute video is great, but that basically tells you everything we can do in about 30 seconds, which is fantastic. So a couple of things I would mention is, you may have heard of Northwest Harvest, and many people know of that in Seattle because we have a food bank here called the Cherry Street Food Bank just up the hill. I'll be walking up the hill instead of down the hill after this. And we serve, it's the busiest food bank in the state of Washington. So we have one food bank that is our own so that we know how to do the business, because that's how we started, was with this food bank. And we serve 5,000 people a week at that food bank. We also have special services. For instance, we have full service days on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at that food bank. But on Thursdays, we have Baby Day. So that's a day that parents with children 5 and under can come in. It's a quieter day. You don't have to stand in line with everybody else. And there's also specialty things available, like diapers, baby formula, things that are very expensive that we can't afford to provide all the time. But with nice donations we're able to be able to do. On top of that, we also serve 360 meal programs, food banks, and high-need schools across the state. And so one of the things that we do, the primary part of our business is to procure food, and more than 50% of it is fresh fruits and vegetables, and to distribute them throughout the state. We are the only statewide food bank distribution program in the state of Washington, and we were the first one. There are others that do really great work, and they do some things that we don't do, by the way. I just mentioned that we're the only statewide one. We serve not only King County, but everywhere. And also, we have a program called 3 Squares. 3 Squares is when children who are in the highest need category in the highest need schools, and they're getting the school lunch program or discounted meals, are able to take a backpack full of food home on the weekend, so that you make sure on the weekends they have snacks, easy to prepare meals, and based on the needs of the child and the family, they may even be providing for siblings in that backpack. And we do it discreetly. Other kids don't know that they're getting this food. So that's another program that we do in, I believe this year it will be 44 schools across the state. It's a very expensive program because it's not providing a bag of beans and a bag of rice and a bunch of vegetables. It's the expensive packaged foods that they can handle and cook themselves. So that's actually a very expensive program. Otherwise, most of what we do is at an incredibly inexpensive rate. It only takes 22 cents to provide a meal through Northwest Harvest. Because of all of the volunteerism at the Kent Warehouse and places like that, we can buy in bulk in semi-truckloads of food and have the more than 9,000 volunteers we had statewide last year, we can have them provide the service, the labor that we would otherwise have to pay for to package that so that we can get it out across the state. So a couple of I don't know if I'm over time or close, a couple of other things that I want to say are that, workplace giving is a really special thing, because I don't know about you, but if I were giving a gift, I would have to think about which organizations I wanted to give to and only give to some because I can't give to everybody I want. Or I might only give like $50 or $100. The nice thing about workplace giving is, you could give $5 a paycheck to one organization and $5 a paycheck to another organization. And it doesn't even really seem like very much to have $10 taken out of your paycheck. But $5 per paycheck, assuming you get paid every other week, is the same as providing a meal a day for a year for somebody who's struggling. And instead of the $50 that you might have given, over the course of a year, you would have given over $250. So you've made a big impact on an individual level. Now, as a group, for King County employees, we were lucky enough to be the top charity, so that meant that King County employees contributed over $78,000 to Northwest Harvest last year. That sounds like a lot. That's actually, it's so many, I had to look it up. It's almost 357,000 meals that were provided just by King County employee giving. I don't know if this is maybe too much to wish for, but if we wanted to do 400,000 meals this year, we would just need to hit 88,000 from all of your giving throughout King County employees. So anyway, I want to thank you for all that you're doing. I'm happy to come out and speak. This is so important to us. We rely so much on the kinds of giving that you guys do that we have more than one person that can speak. So we almost never ever say no when we're asked to speak at a workplace. We do even have some volunteers who will do it for us, who have been with us for a long time, and they do a beautiful job of it as well. So we're happy to do it anytime, and I do have some giveaway items over at the end of that table by the very nice Karen White of Community Health Charities.
Thank you so much, Dee. I'm lucky. I get to work with these folks all year long. It's pretty awesome. For those of you who don't know, literally on my resume it said my objective was to be a professional idealist. Well, I guess if you read the employee news, you would know that, right? That was scary. I was like, you want to do what? And so I finally get to do what I love every day. When you came in, you were handed a little white piece of paper that on one side said my connection and on the other side said my benefit. I'd like you to take a few minutes. And I'd like you to think about one nonprofit organization that over the last year you had some connection to. It doesn't have to be that you gave to them through payroll deduction. It could be somebody that was a resource for your family in crisis or for a family member. It could be a local PTA that you volunteered on. It could be something that you gave your time or talent to. Whatever that connection is, it doesn't matter. Just write down the name of the organization and what that connection is. On the other side, it says My Benefit. On the My Benefit side, I want you to save that for when you're done with training. Or you can put it down now if you've already done this before. That is, what is your favorite benefit of the employee giving program? My favorite benefit, one of my favorite benefits, when I first started work here at King County, because right, I think it's fabulous. When I first started work here at King County, I was an administrative specialist too. And I was very active in the community. I did a lot of volunteer work, I was on boards, and I gave money when I could. But I wanted to be a philanthropist. I wanted to give in a much bigger way. I just never felt like I could. All of a sudden, I learned about this program where I can get $5 a paycheck. Right before I was writing a $20 check here, a $30 check there, and $5 a paycheck, I can handle that. At the end of the year, that was $120. I don't know about you, but for me, I was like, I'm a philanthropist. I can give the kind of money that I want to give, and that is what it has enabled me to do. It is now a part of who I am, my workplace giving portfolio. So I want you to think about what your favorite benefit of the employee giving program is. So while you're writing down your connection, though, just some ambassador stuff. There are lots of tools on the website, including your ambassador toolkit. You can view the nonprofits by geographic location this year with a map, which is super awesome. Because more than 70% of our nonprofits are local, so if people want to see where they live. We are catalog free this year. And so the website, we're trying to make it really user-friendly for people. All of our posters have the QR code, so people can take their smartphones and scan right to the website. Also, we've tried to make some PDFs that are really easy to print off. With more than 900 organizations, you can imagine the amount of paper that is. And we are also looking for expo volunteers for our expos coming up. So if you'd like to volunteer one of the expos, I encourage you to let Robin know. Robin, raise your hand on your way out the door. So now back to our pieces of paper. I firmly believe that every King County employee does something outside of the workplace. Unfortunately, sometimes we hear, well, if you don't give through here, do you do anything? No. Everybody and every single white piece of paper on that desk confirms what I just said. Everybody does something outside of the workplace. Our job is simply to show them another tool as part of their giving portfolio. I happen to love workplace giving. I think it's amazing. But I know that everybody does something. And so what we're doing this year on our 25th anniversary year is we're celebrating that something. The only requirement is that the nonprofit be in the program. But I want to know about what you do outside the workplace. My personal connection. I give to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society every year. Because 5 years ago, actually 5.5 years ago, I walked into a walk-in clinic with flu-like symptoms and walked out in an ambulance down to the emergency room, because it was Friday night, I was supposed to be going to a concert, down to the emergency room, and the doctor had said to me, I've never seen a chest x-ray like this before. And I was diagnosed 45 days later with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I can now stand here today because of organizations like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Fred Hutch, Seattle Children's, University of Washington. Because of the research they did here locally, that was the treatment that I got. And I have a 10-month-old son. They were not sure I was going to be able to have kids. That is the best gift that I have ever been given. And he has kept me up all last week. And that's just one of my personal connections. And I just want you to think about what is yours. Because giving is personal. I think sometimes in the workplace, right, we make it too much about the piece of paper. But nobody gives to a piece of paper. The number one reason people give is because they were asked, and the number two reason is because they have a connection or they know somebody with a connection. So I want you to feel empowered to share your personal connections or to talk to other people who are willing to share those. In response to that, in the back you will see the beautiful, tall, gray King County sign. We have I Give signs and our yellow photo frame. So you can go back there and have your picture taken right now. And you are willing to share your personal connection on our social media sites and on our website with other people. Your number one goal as an ambassador is to make sure that every King County employee is aware of the opportunity to use the program. That's it. One of the ways that you do that is by sharing your personal story. It's by bringing in a nonprofit speaker, and it's by doing it in person. Through your training online and or in person, you will find out specifically how to do that. I want to thank you all for coming. We went over 7 minutes, I'm very sorry. But if you want to take some food, please do. Want to talk to our nonprofit speakers, you can. Oh, and grab your bag with your stuff in it and posters and your water bottle if you didn't already get it on your way out. That is a whole bunch of information you can take back to your worksite to share. I want to say thank you so much for being ambassadors this year. Thanks, you guys.